So it's Friday. It is nasty outside where I am. And I just got one of those feelings today where I'm like, I don't really feel like being structured. I don't feel like being boxed in by a regimented schedule on the pod today. If I had some wine chilled in the refrigerator, this would be one of those days where I'd have a glass and we would just be shooting the shit. After this podcast is over, however, I am going to my local grocery store and I will pick me up a few bottles of wine because I'm going to have me an outstanding weekend. But before I do that, I'm going to chop it up with you guys. And today, we're just going to wing it. Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 169th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. I spent so much time today with my card collecting series, the CCS. Let me first say this. Find you something that you are truly passionate about in life. Find something that truly makes you happy, that gives you joy, okay? I try not to get too deep and philosophical here, but you know, part of what I do is I educate. I drop gems on your melon from time to time. Hell, on this podcast, every episode I drop a gem on your melon. But every now and again, I try to impart some things, some knowledge on you, and give you something to think about. And you've heard this before. You've probably heard this before from me. If not, and you haven't heard it anywhere else, I'm glad I'm going to be the one to tell you this. I don't know what you're doing right now. Some of you are extremely young and you don't even have a job right now. And if you don't, that's great. You've got a ton of time in front of you to figure out what it is you ultimately want to do with your life. But don't wait too late. Now, time's ticking and it waits for no man. And as I tell all the youth of America, time is the most valuable resource that we have as human beings because it's non-renewable. You can't get it back. You can get more money. Money's great, but you get more of it. You can spend it. You can make it. It's one of those things that it's just always fluid. You can get more of it if you need it, but that's not the case with time. Time is something you can't get back. And once it's gone, it's gone. So don't waste a bunch of time, thinking about frivolous things. Make sure you're spending enough time nourishing your future, pouring into it, planting the right seeds. If you're already a lot older and that portion of your life is already come and gone and you're already fixed into a lifestyle, hopefully it's one that you thoroughly enjoy. If not, that sucks. It really does. Because I watch my parents, not my parents. My dad probably didn't necessarily love what he was doing, but my dad, he's a soldier, not an actual military soldier, but just a soldier as a man. And he doesn't complain about anything. Whatever cards get dealt to him, that's how he plays his hand, and he usually plays it to the best of his abilities. My mom, however, hated her job. And I watched her get up every day and go do a job that she hated for 26 years. Don't be that person. That's one of the biggest lessons I learned from my mom is, hey, don't put yourself in a position where you get pigeonholed and you can't get out of it and you're not doing something that you love to do. I said all of that to say this. Man, I love what I am doing. I love what I do for a living. It is so much fun. It's so enjoyable. The only thing that I could think of that I would rather be doing than what I do right now is playing sports professionally. And at one point, that was my dream, to be a professional athlete. And I didn't care what sport it was in, football, baseball, basketball. I thought I was good in all of them. Turns out I really wasn't all that good in basketball. I was good enough to play in high school, but that was on a JV level. I wasn't good enough to play varsity. I wasn't tall enough. And I didn't work on my skills because I was playing other sports. I didn't hone my basketball skills as much as I probably should. But I really believe this wholeheartedly. Had I really focused, had I really trained, had I really given 100% to baseball, I think I could have made it to the major leagues. I really do believe that. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is, outside of being an athlete, a professional athlete, I couldn't think of a better job to have, or a better career, or just a better profession than what I do here. Talking sports with all of you out there and opening up cards. That's what I do for a living. I liken it to someone that plays video games for a living. And I never thought I would live long enough to see the day where people would get paid to play video games. But that's a thing now. Esports is what they call it. And it is amazing. And these guys are making tons of money doing this stuff. And those are the professionals. You got people on YouTube that just play games, shoot the shit, and they're making probably more than the esports people. So I never thought I would see the day that that would happen, but it's so much fun to be doing something that you love to do. And I urge anybody within earshot of my voice, find your passion and go after it with vigor. I started the show with that because I spent so much time on the CCS today. Because yesterday I did an unboxing video that's going to upload today in 8 minutes at 5 o'clock. I do uploads for the CCS on Mondays and Fridays, and I do live videos on Wednesday nights. So I did an unboxing yesterday, and I unearthed the biggest pull of my life. It was so satisfying. I told you it's big game hunting season. It's hunting season, and I'm going big game hunting. And I just hunted the best big game pull of my life. And it gave me such satisfaction. And even when I don't get what I want, I'm disappointed, but I'm having fun. But at 5 o'clock, that video is going to become live, and you'll be able to view it. And you'll share in the joy that was me pulling that card that I ultimately pulled. I love what I do. And I hope, I pray that either you love what you do too, or one day you will love what you do. But that's enough of me being sentimental here on the Louie T Network podcast. You didn't come here for that shit, and I understand that. So let's get to the proceedings this evening. I told you we're winging it today. We're winging it today. So we can get off the rails a little bit. I'm going to tell you right now, line up your comments. Use the hashtag LouieTLab if you've got something that you want to say. Because after the gym dropping session, we're going to go to social media maneuvers. And I'm going to answer your questions. If there are no questions, if there are no comments, if there are no concerns, we're going to head straight to the garbage time section and portion of the show and get the hell out of here. I'm not going to waste your time today. But if you got time to waste and you feel like chopping it up with me, your man Louie T, please fill up the chat. All right. So with that said, let's go to our favorite segment of the show every day, or at least my favorite segment every day. You know what it is. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me get you thinking. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, Russell Wilson, dangerous Russell Wilson, said he never requested a trade of the Seattle Seahawks from Seattle. Never requested a trade. Said the media kind of blew that whole situation out of proportion. I think he may be right. I told you, I never quite got the sense that Russ was saying, hey, I want out. I thought that Bleacher Report and a lot of these outlets and major TV entities kind of took this story and ran with it, and it took on a life of its own. Like when I listened to that Dan Patrick interview, not one time did I gather from it, oh man, this guy wants out. He just wants better, period. Now, if that's in a different locale, so be it. But I never once took that as, oh man, he's had it with Seattle, he wants out. But after that situation kind of got blown out of proportion, Russ never threw any water on that fire. I tell you that much. And as a matter of fact, all of a sudden we got a rumor out of his camp, whether it was true or not. I can't confirm nor deny it. But we got a rumor out of his camp that, hey, hold on. Russ never requested a trade, but hold on. If you're going to trade him, here are my demands. Here are my requests for where you can send him. Like, so you don't want out, but in the event that they decide to move you, here are 4 spots that we think are ideal. So I just found that funny. I don't think he ever really requested a trade. However, I do find this very interesting because I kind of felt like Russ looked up, and I said Tom Brady effed it up for everybody. I said that last year, or not last year. I said that like 2-3 months ago. Tom Brady effed it up for everybody because he essentially went from New England to Tampa Bay, talked to management, got a couple of guys that he really wanted on the squad, and Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski. He was able to lure Leonard Fournette there as well, and management did everything they could to make sure he was comfortable. They traded up 1 spot in the draft to make sure they got Tristan Wirfs. Don't know if they would have done that if, say, Jameis Winston was the quarterback, but they knew they had to protect Tom Brady. So it just seemed like Tom came in, was in control. They did everything they could to make him happy and appease him, and they go out and they win a Super Bowl. And he looked up and he said, that's some bullshit. I've been in, Seattle my entire career, 8 years now, going on my 9th season, and I've never had that kind of control. Aaron Rodgers kind of said the same thing in Green Bay. And so all of a sudden, everybody's pissed off because Tom's coming in and winning shit right off the bat. And they're like, I've been here XYZ years, and I haven't had that kind of control. Anyway, I thought the situation had cooled off. And it has. And I thought it was over. I thought they extinguished the fire. I thought the firemen had gone back to the fire station and there was nothing to see here. But that's not necessarily the case according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, okay? He was on the ESPN morning show Get Up this morning, and this is what he had to say, and I'm going to read this quote verbatim. All right, this has been transcribed. I'm going to read you what he said on the program regarding Russell Wilson, the Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll, and this entire situation and how it may not actually be over if certain things don't take place. So this is from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. He says, there's a feeling around the league that if Seattle is not at least on the cusp of a Super Bowl this year, that this could get very ugly. Once again, this being the Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks situation. Because there are 2 issues that happened a few months ago. Russell Wilson was straight up frustrated because he felt his name was floated in trade rumors even a few years back. Interesting. And then this offseason, he had ideas to try to get the Seahawks back to the Super Bowl. He wanted to present them to the team. He was calling them up saying, hey, what are we doing here and there? He felt like that was met with resistance, that they weren't hearing him. So there was straight up consternation. Since then, Pete Carroll has had several productive talks with Russell Wilson, which is what the Houston Texans and the Green Bay Packers, can't say the Packers necessarily, but the Texans failed to do in the Deshaun Watson situation. When you F up with your star quarterback, you do whatever it takes to make it right. In Seattle, you say what you want about Seattle, they've taken tremendous steps this offseason, whether it be to trade for Gabe Jackson or to draft the wide receiver Dwayne Eskridge, or to at least appear that they were interested in getting Julio Jones. All of the moves made, they were all done in the spirit of making Russell Wilson feel like they were really going after it. He says, since then, Pete Carroll has had several productive talks with Russell Wilson. Wilson was involved in the hiring of offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. He talked to Waldron during the process. He likes some of the moves they've made in free agency, so Seattle has tried to meet him halfway. Things are much better now, but his contract is very much tradable next year, where the dead money on the salary cap gets cut in half to $26 million. We've come a long way in the NFL when a contract becomes extremely tradable, when the dead cap number gets cut in half from $52 million to $26 million, and you're thinking about trading a guy. Not saying that that's the case in Seattle, but that's amazing in itself that we're having that kind of conversation. But that's nor here nor there. Bottom line is, what Jeremy Fowler just said is that Russ is looking to win a chip. And if they're not close, if they get bounced like they did this past year in the wild card weekend, because they were at home and the Rams came in there with a one-handed Jared Goff and a four-finger Jared Goff, because his thumb was still all kinds of banged up, and waltzed out of there with a win, which most people, including myself, didn't see coming. If they can't get out of wild card weekend, if they can't get out of the divisional round, I think this has to be one of those NFC championship type years where they feel really close. If they don't feel like they're on the cusp, Russ might be like, you know what? I don't like the direction this thing's going in. I want out. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't take Russell Wilson to be that type of guy, but there's only so many times you're going to shit on Russ before he feels like, okay, I'm being disrespected now, I want out. Russ strikes me as a, hey, I want to play my entire career in the same spot if I can type of guy. But he also wants to win. He's highly competitive. So that's interesting, to say the least. I don't think he's getting traded this year nor next year, but I can tell you this. As a fan of a team that is a quarterback away from potentially making a run at a chip, I've got my eyes on this situation. I've got my eyes on the situation in Green Bay. I've got my eyes on the situation anywhere around the league. I was going to say Houston, but he's not the kind of guy they're looking for in Washington. So I retract that statement. I've got my eyes on any situation around the league of a team with a veteran quarterback that's a massive upgrade from what we're currently doing in Washington that could help us win a chip in the future. I've got my eyes on any of those situations. Don't know if any of them will crop up, but much like Matthew Stafford this past offseason, if one of those situations happen, I'm all over it. Sign me up. This is one of those situations I'm looking at and I'm saying, hey, Russ is only 32. You know, if he's available next year, he's only 33. Quarterbacks are playing until they're 90 now. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Aaron Rodgers is up there in age, but shit, why not? If he was the MVP of the league this past year, why the hell not? So, highly unlikely that Washington lands any of these quarterbacks. However, I'm looking, I'm seeing, and I'm keeping my eye on every single one of these situations because you just never know. With that said, I'm going to transition to a quick break, get to one of our sponsors, and then we will come back on the other side and jump into social media maneuvers. Remember, line up your comments, questions, concerns, whatever you have to say. Use the hashtag LouieTLive. If there's nothing there to be read, we'll go straight to garbage time. I'm not looking to waste a ton of time today. I told you we are winging it today. So if you have something to say, now's the time to say it. I get a ton of Washington fans complaining, oh, he's not noticing us in the comments section. That's because Super Chats reign supreme. You know that. If you don't know the rules to the game, I explain it all the time. Super Chats are king. But here's the platform I'm giving you to say whatever it is you want to say. Doesn't matter what team you're a fan of. You're an NFL guy like me. You don't care about any other team but your team, and you want to ask a question. Now's the time to do it. When you got social media maneuvers, take advantage. So we'll go to this break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll get into social media maneuvers. You are locked into the 169th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Thank you for joining me. I want to take this time out to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the Louie T Network podcast. Manscaped has the right tools to get the job done quickly, safely, and hygienically. Father's Day is just around the corner, and you probably need a gift for your hairy dad. Make sure your dad is proud this year and get him and yourself the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 and Ultra Smooth package. You know what they say, like father, like son. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 and Ultra Smooth package is perfect for you and the dad in your life to complete your grooming game. Let me give you a little bit more information on both of those outstanding products, starting first with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is now available in both the US and in Canada. So what makes this waterproof trimmer different from all the other trimmers? This 7,000 RPM trimmer features skin-safe technology to keep your balls in check and has helped reduce manscaping accidents around the globe. A new multifunctional on and off switch can engage a travel lock created for jet setters. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Additional guard lengths with sizes 1 to 4 let you trim to your liking. Then you get to the Ultra Smooth package. Comes in 3 different steps to take care of your family jewels. Step number 1, the crop exfoliator. Infused with ingredients that can soothe, clear, and keep the skin on and around your groin feeling refreshed, reducing the risk of ingrown hairs by your delicacies. Gotta keep those guys nice and safe. Step number 2 is the crop gel. See where you're shaving with Manscaped's unique clear shaving gel just for your groin. In step 3, now it's time to clear out the bushes. Time to shave. The crop shaver now comes into play, which was designed for shaving the groin area with confidence. 3 precision blades, including extra wide lubricating strips and a pivoting head for the ultimate groin grooming experience. All 3 of these are vegan, which you know I love because I am vegan. Cruelty-free and sulfate-free products are included, so you know your manhood is in good hands. Stop imagining your dad has it covered because he probably doesn't. More likely than not, he probably doesn't, okay? Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the promo code LouieT. That's 20% off plus free shipping when you use the promo code LouieT at manscaped.com. This is the perfect package for you and your dad's perfect package. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com when you use the promo code LouieT. It's dad bod season. Time to get smooth. And trust me when I tell you this, your dad and your balls will thank you. So, welcome back to the show. I want to take this time to ask all of you out there to subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. Turn on your notification bell. Look, I know a lot of you have said the notification bell isn't working. I can't control that, but what I can tell you to do is at least turn it on and give it a shot. And also hit the like button if you haven't already done so, if you enjoy this content. If you're getting this podcast in podcast form on a platform, please make sure you subscribe there. Also, rate and review. That helps this podcast out tremendously. 5 stars is all we're looking for. And a positive review. If you don't have that, then you can keep it to yourself. Put it in your back pocket. So I really do appreciate all of you out there. And we're going to transition into social media maneuvers. I'm a midday marauder. So let's see what you guys have to say if there are any comments out there. And there are. So my guy, Rich, thank you. And let me just say this. Now that it's 5 o'clock and the card video has uploaded and it's live now, I yelled so loud when I pulled the card that I did that I distorted the audio. I was that loud. Anyway, I digress. My guy Rich says, why is this weekend going to be special? Nothing in particular about this weekend. I just worked so hard this week. I worked really hard this week. I really want to unwind. You know, there are some weeks where I'm like, man, I really dragged ass this week. I didn't get as much done as I really stuck to the regimen. I really stuck to the things that I needed to get done this week. And I worked hard. I produced a lot of content this week. Washington had OTAs. I did a video for that every day. I did multiple videos on multiple days for Washington. So it was a very busy week, not to mention, podcast every other day, card video every other day. So I was busy, to say the least. But nothing in particular this weekend. I just want to relax. Rich says, to be clear, people care about OTAs so much now because of last year. That's all we had, no preseason, and that's how it will forever be because of last year in preseason. I don't think that's the case. People cared about OTAs before last season. Like, OTAs started to become a thing about 3 years ago. The NFL, as I've mentioned before, has become such a massive product. They've done such a really good job of really promoting themselves. They're a machine. I've talked about this already. Whether it's the draft or the combine, they've made everything matter, so much so that they even have a schedule release day, essentially. Like they're leaking out pieces of the schedule throughout the course of the day, leading up to a schedule release show at like 8 p.m. Like, everything they do it well, and they promote the hell out of it. And I think having people be interested in OTAs is a byproduct of that, really, if we're being honest with one another. So, Hulk says, what's your best case scenario for tight ends making week 1 roster for the Washington football team? My best case scenario doesn't necessarily line up with the best players. I want Samis Reyes on the roster. That's my best case scenario, but ultimately he may not be ready. And it may be Ricky Seals-Jones, or it may be Tamarick Hemingway. So we know the first two guys. We know the first two tight ends. Barring any kind of catastrophe, we already know Logan Thomas and John Bates are our first two tight ends. It's not a question of that. It's who's the third tight end on the roster. And right now, I want it to be Samis Reyes. My best case scenario is it's Samis Reyes. But more likely than not, the realistic option is going to be probably Ricky Seals-Jones or Tamarick Hemingway. So, Xavier Rose, thank you for the super chat. Xavier Rose says, "Sup, Lou? Sup, Xavier? Sup, X-Man? This is off topic, but I remember you saying last year during the NBA playoffs that Paul George has a loser's mentality. Gave him a pass before, but man, you're right. He stinks." I don't know if it's so much as a loser's mentality as much as it is he's a loser. It's two different things. Like, when you have a loser's mentality, you're defeated before you even participate in that activity. I don't think that's what Paul George is. I just think he's a loser. I just don't think he's a winner. Like, when winning plays have to be made, Paul George isn't the guy you want to be relying on. And that's essentially what I was getting to. Like, when we talk about NBA stars, Paul George is one of those guys. And I talk about this all the time. There are players that view themselves in a much higher light than what they actually are in league circles. Like, when Kawhi Leonard was recruiting someone to come to L.A. with him, I don't think Paul George was his first choice. Like, there were other guys that he would have much rather had join him in L.A., but those guys weren't available or weren't willing to come, or the teams that they were currently on weren't willing to make the moves to get them there. So Paul George was the closest guy he could reach out and grab, and that's what he ultimately did. But Paul George, by no means to me, is a great number 2 option. I think he's a third option in the league. It's going to be hard to win a championship if Paul George is your running mate. And so they're going to have a chance. He does a lot of good things, this Paul George. He fills up the stat sheet. I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine the other day. He fills up the stat sheet. It won't be one of these performances that takes your breath away, but you'll look up. Paul George has 21 points. He's got 9 rebounds. He's got 7 assists, and he's got 3 steals. And you're like, man, that's a really solid game from Paul George. But he doesn't make enough impact plays for me. When Kawhi's looking for someone to take a shot and someone to make a play, Paul George is looking to defer to somebody else. He's looking for, Marquis, he's looking for Morris, or he's looking for Batum. And they're looking like, no, he gave you the ball because you're the second best player. Make something happen. And he wants to pass it to somebody else. And I just don't like, even when Kawhi was in Toronto, other guys stepped up. And there's some guys stepping up. Batum has had a really solid postseason. I've got a soft spot for one of their guys off the bench because he went to Duke. I can't think of his name right now. I can see his damn face. Left-handed dude. Can't think of his name right now. Luke Kennard. I got a soft spot for Luke Kennard because he's a Dookie. But, I think Jackson has played his ass off in these playoffs, and he's given Kawhi some help. And that's what you need. But I don't think that other guy is there. There was such contribution from all of those other players when he was in Toronto, like Fred VanVleet all of a sudden was ridiculous. And Pascal Siakam was a legitimate number 2 option. That's what Kawhi's missing here. If there is no Pascal Siakam to really elevate his game and help Kawhi when he needs a breather and he's deferring to somebody, and then you have the other guys kind of just pick up the slack around, that Paul George, and I feel the same way about Paul George that I do. It's not as significant. It's not the exact same, but they're in the same category. CJ McCollum. Like, CJ McCollum isn't a big enough star to help you win as a second option. He's a great third option, probably more suited for that role. I think Paul George is the same way for me. He's not consistent enough from the 3-point line. Obviously, if he gets hot, he can knock down shots, but he's streaky as hell. So there are too many games in the playoffs this postseason that I've seen him be wide ass open. Kawhi penetrates, kicks it to him, and he misses the shot. And I can't have that. So yeah, I digress. Rich, my guy Rich says, hear me out. Heineke is the guy and stays healthy. We win the Super Bowl. Not hard to get behind, but I must say it. He's got to get in the lineup first. And I think that's going to be really the hardest thing for him is to crack the lineup. Because I think Ron, even though he's been preaching competition, I think he's got his mind made up as to what he wants to do. I could be wrong. And there could be a legitimate competition brewing. This feels real. Hey, there's a competition. No, there's not. That's what this kind of feels like. Rich also says, I think it's the time in the offseason where I ask, how did you become a Grizzlies and a Braves fan? Yeah, why the hell not? This is the perfect time to do it. So I'm a Braves fan because most of the teams that I like them. I told you I grew up in Virginia. Not that we don't have any collegiate teams or things like that around here, but we don't have any local teams, professionally. So I was a kid that grew up watching tons of sports as a young youth. And when you're a kid, you're very impressionable. So whatever you see first and see the most of, that's what you latch on to. Obviously, growing up, Turner Broadcasting System, TBS, they played every Braves game. Home, away, it didn't matter. So as a kid growing up, all I saw was the Braves. They were on TV every day. There was no other station showing the same team over and over again. Maybe the Chicago White Sox were on WGN, but I wasn't watching WGN. I was watching TBS. Because when I was growing up, TBS was channel 6. And I could get to 6 quick. You start out at channel 3, you go up a few channels, and boom, you're on 6. I'm a simple man. You're 5 years old, you get the remote, poop, poop, poop. Oh, baseball. It's the Braves. Again, for the 57th time. You know what? I'm really starting to learn these players. Oh, Terry Pendleton and David Justice and Fred McGriff and Sid Bream and Raphael Belliard. Man, Sid Bream and Mark Linkey. I like these guys. Greg Maddux and Steve Avery. You know what? I'm a Braves fan. That's how it happened. So, not hard. Same thing with Notre Dame Fighting Irish Football. They were on NBC every week. They didn't have a team on TV every week. I saw Notre Dame all the time. Became a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. Same thing with the Duke Blue Devils. They were on TV the most. They didn't have a channel. But because they were so good in the early 90s, I jumped right in with the resurgence of the Duke Blue Devils program. They started to win big right around 91. I think was the first time Krzyzewski won a national championship with Grant Hill, Hurley, and Leitner and company, and Davis and Davis. And that's right around when I started watching college basketball, and they were on TV all the time. They won it that year. They won it the next year. So I became a Duke Blue Devils college basketball fan. As far as the Grizzlies are concerned, they're a lot more complicated. That's the one that you got to actually take notes on. It's really convoluted. I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version, though. I grew up a massive Chicago Bulls fan, but more specifically, Scottie Pippen fan. So I was a massive Bulls fan growing up. Diehard Scottie Pippen fan. You know what they did in the 90s. They were the king of the 90s. Jordan retires. They blow up the Bulls. Pippen goes to the Houston Rockets. I follow Scottie Pippen wherever he goes. I'm no longer a Bulls fan now. I'm a Houston Rockets fan because Scottie Pippen's playing for the Rockets. Well, then Scottie's there for a few years, and then he goes to Portland. And there was no heartbreak for me like the loss to the Lakers in 2001. The Blazers should have won that championship because they were going to beat the Nets. Anybody who advanced to the championship that year, I think it was the Pacers that first year. Whoever won the Western Conference Finals, which it should have been Portland, and I to this day I still can't watch the alley-oop. Anytime I see it coming, I turn that shit. That Shaq, Kobe alley-oop. I sat at my best friend's house thinking Scotty's going to win one without MJ, and it's going to be so gratifying. We were up 18 in the fourth quarter, and I watched that lead evaporate. I watched Detlef Shrimp and Rasheed Wallace and Arvydas Sabonis and Scottie Pippen and Bonzi Wells all go ice cold. Can't make a damn shot. And the Lakers just kept chipping away, and you could feel the tide turning, and it all culminated in that damn alley hoop. I still can't watch that shit. Anyway, he was in Portland really for the last good portion of his career. He ended his career in Chicago, but by then he was a shell of himself. So what I told myself is this is not who I am as a core fan. I don't jump teams. Like, this is not who I am as a fan. Like, this isn't in my DNA to be a fan of this team, then a fan of that team, then a fan of this team. Like, that's not who I am as a fan. I like a team, I stick with that team. So that's why I don't do the players thing anymore. Because I grew up a Scottie Pippen fan, and then he started switching teams, and then I found myself liking 3 different teams in like 7 years, and I was like, okay, this shit has to stop. So what I did was I attached myself to Bonzi Wells, and then he got traded to Memphis, or he left in free agency. He ended up in Memphis. And I said, I have to stop this shit because he was in Portland with Scottie. And I said, I need a new player. Scottie's career is almost done. I need a new player to really like. So I attached myself to Bonzi Wells. Then I had the epiphany when he got to Memphis. I have to stop this shit. Now I'm a Grizzlies fan. I was just a Bulls fan. Then I was a Rockets fan. Then I was a Blazers fan. Now I'm a Grizzlies fan. This shit has to stop. So I said, the buck stops here. No matter what Bonzi Wells does from here on out, I'm not leaving. I'm sticking with this team. Bonzi Wells stayed there for about 4 years, and then he moved on and jumped from team to team. And I said, I'm staying here. And that's how I got to Memphis, and I haven't left since. So I've been a Memphis Grizzlies fan probably since they got to Memphis. I followed them when they were in Vancouver. With Sharif Abdul-Rahim and Damon Stoudemire and all those guys. But Memphis is when I finally got, right around when Mike Miller won Rookie of the Year. So, I don't know, maybe 05, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, that's how I became a Grizzlies fan. Superstar J. So let me get this straight. A guy that has 0 off-the-field issues and gets accused of sexual assault with no evidence to support this is now listed as a bad guy. Help me understand. I wouldn't categorize him as that, but you know how it is in the court of public opinion. Ron Rivera isn't concerned with whether you did it or not. He's concerned with you allowed yourself to be put in a position to be categorized as a guy that could be involved in sexual assault. I don't know if he's done anything wrong. No, none of us do. However, the fact that he's got 29,000 masseuses, he's supposed to have a girlfriend, by the way, but I'm not here to judge. And you're picking off all of these IG thoughts and thirst trappers, and you think nothing's going to go wrong. He put himself in this position. And again, he didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but he put himself in a position where people could speculate. And Ron's not willing to play that game. That's why we didn't take Michael Parsons. Ron isn't looking to, he doesn't know if it's true or not. He doesn't care. He's got a daughter. He's got a wife. He's not looking to bring that kind of nonsense to this organization, whether it's true or not. It's out there. Ron doesn't want any parts of that. I'm not saying that he's a bad guy. I told you that already. Because you got to watch these females too. You know what it is. We all know what it is sometimes. We don't know the situation. We don't. But I wouldn't be shocked if he's done absolutely nothing wrong except find himself in poor company and making some poor decisions by, tapping into that IG realm. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is Ron's looking for clean-cut guys. Period. End of discussion. Whether you like it or you don't like it. That's the reality of the situation. Because we are the Washington football team, and we've had so many things go wrong, especially with sexual misconduct within the organization, they can't go near a guy like Deshaun Watson at this point. At this point, maybe things blow over and everything's clean. Then maybe and because Watson, before all of this, he was pristine off the field. Pristine. But as of right now, for Washington, he's untouchable. Captain Spartan says, how the heck can we solve the Braves relieving problems? These losses are starting to hurt. Trade Pache. Also, Acuna will hit his 100th home run this weekend against the Marlins. It's guaranteed. Oh, it's coming. There's really not much we can do about the bullpen, man. Honestly speaking, we saw this coming a mile away. They were the issue the hitting was the issue to start the season, but the bullpen was also problematic early in the season. You could see it coming a mile away. And, it's just crazy like that. Most of these guys were here last year when the bullpen was lights out. When AJ Minter was mowing dudes down and, we were turning to all these same relievers essentially last year. The one difference being Melanson was the closer. Will Smith, I think he came a little bit later on. You could use him in the 8th. But, I mean, it's a lot of the same dudes, man. It's just they're not pitching well. And it's like that sometimes. But it's unfortunate, man. We're just inconsistent this year. We just really are. And it's still not too late. But I don't have a good feeling about this season. I'm going to be honest with you. Rich says, I think we keep 4 backs. You know who they are. Our 3 tight ends will be Bates, Thomas, Reyes. Our receivers, obvious 3 who can all play slot, in my opinion, and the 3 big guys. I don't like Hump. I think you're all kinds of wrong with that comment. I don't think we're keeping 4 backs. We could keep 4 backs. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't know who the 3 tight ends are. I hope they're the 3 that you just mentioned. And I don't think you're spot on with the receivers, but we'll see. A lot of time between now and the end of the preseason. Kevin, the PRF, writes, I hope Rodgers and Wilson never go anywhere. I'm wary of teams renting high-end Twilight talent to win championships like Tampa Bay and Denver did, or what the Rams are trying to do. Excuse me. All I care about is results. And last time I checked, Denver won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, and Tampa Bay just won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. So if I can get one, I want one. Rich says, I think he is injury prone and lacks production. That's why he was cut. He's also slow for a pure slot receiver. Our first 3 guys can play the slot. I think you don't know enough about Adam Humphries. I think you don't know enough about Adam Humphries. So there's that. He was injury prone in Tennessee, but we'll see. Kevin the PRF. And I hate super teams in the NBA. Get off of my lawn and give me my homegrown dynasties. That day, those days are long gone, Kev. I am with you. I can't stand the super teams, but that's what the landscape of the NBA has become. It is what it is. It's not going back to the way it used to be, because when in Rome, you have to do as in Rome. And you're not going to beat one of these super teams by trying to build it the right way. It's not going to happen. You're never going to be able to acquire enough talent via the draft to beat a team of all-pro, perennial all-star players. When you get 3 guys on a team that are, it's just not going to happen. What Utah is doing, phenomenal right now, and somebody different is going to win the chip this year. Unfortunately, and some of you, and I know you in particular probably don't want to hear this, what the Lakers or what the Jazz and what the Suns are doing, all that shit is cute, man, because most of that is homegrown stuff and great roster organization and building. But it doesn't matter who comes out of the West, they're losing to the Nets. Sorry. They have the best super team right now. That's how it goes. Captain Spartan says, did you see AP hype up Najee Harris saying he's built different after our running back coach told Najee he got to go home eventually, can't keep doing so much overtime? No, I didn't see that. I heard about Najee. Ben Roethlisberger said that the running backs coach told Najee, hey, look, Najee, man, I got to go. So I got to go home. I got a family, man. I'll see you tomorrow. So I heard that, but I didn't hear what AP said. But I'm not surprised. Najee Harris is a stud. I'm not shocked. I didn't know he had this kind of work ethic, but when you want to be great, that's what you do. You put in the time. Got a super chat. This one is from Alexander the Great. The Great. Thank you for the super chat, Alexander the Great. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, just dropping in to show some love, Lou. I picked up and tried a bottle of Dublin. Good recommendation. I need y'all to write Dublin. So I'm going to try to get a sponsorship from them, because you're the 4th person that has told me that they tried that wine because of my recommendation and my advertisement, essentially. And if you try it, you're going to love it. So I need them to bless me. So I need you guys to help me. Tweet at them, at Dublin Winery, I think it is. Find them on Twitter, hit them up, and tell them, hey, y'all should get your man Louie T to, you should sponsor him. I'm going to hit him up. I'm serious. Thank you for that, Alexander the Great. All right, let's see. This is where we left off. Captain Spartan says, also, can Najee get some kind of calling card from you? Really feeling more and more like he's going to be a stud. I definitely think he's going to be a stud. Definitely. For sure. Tom Turner says, why can't Fitzpatrick win a chip? Because he can. I'm not saying the man can't. I'm just telling you the 16-year body of work says he won't. That's what I'm basing I told you, I'm a practical guy. I'm not hard to figure out. All right. I'm pretty practical. I take the information that's given to me and I make it make sense. I see 16 years of a guy playing in the league, never having played in the playoffs one time, never leading his team to the postseason. And I say, this guy more likely than not isn't a winner. Period. Doesn't mean he can't. Doesn't mean he can't turn on a Rich Gannon switch at the end of his career and all of a sudden be playing at an MVP caliber level and lead us to a Super Bowl. It's very possible. Highly unlikely. I'm not going to say it can't happen. What I'm telling you is I don't see it happening. Doesn't mean it won't or it can't. I just don't see it happening. And that's just based off of what I've seen throughout his career. A long, humongous sample size is what I'm basing it off of. Not 1 or 2 years, but 16. Captain Spartan says, so now we know your hardest loss as a basketball fan. What is your hardest loss? And and the beauty of that is it didn't come as a Bulls fan. You would like to think it was, the Orlando Magic's loss in 95. Nope. It wasn't, because Jordan just got back. He wasn't in basketball shape. That one didn't hurt. I said, try that shit next year. And they went 72-10 the next year. So nobody wanted to smoke that next year. My hardest loss was definitely the Portland loss, because I was pissed off at Jordan for a while. I didn't let that go. He had called Ron Harper, who played for the Los Angeles Lakers, the day of Game 7. I can't confirm that he didn't call or deny that he didn't call Scottie, but I know he called Ron Harper. And I didn't hear that he called Scottie to wish him good luck. Jordan's petty enough to in his mind say, I don't want Scottie winning without me. I know Jordan's petty enough to not want Scottie to win a chip without him. So I bet you any amount of money he called Ron Harper, wished him good luck, and didn't call Scottie and wish him good luck. I don't hold him against him anymore, because I knew what he was thinking, but it pissed me off when I was a kid in the moment. Oh, that shit had me hot, boiling. Anyway, I got another super chat. I'll come back to your comment. John Livingston, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JL Smooth writes, what up, Lou? Last night's stream was great. It was. It was a phenomenal stream. Phenomenal. We ever going to see you jump on the sticks, or is that not your thing? I was a game head, a notorious game head. I'm talking about, I was playing. Look, I didn't have a lot of money growing up, as a kid. Like, I didn't have my own money, By no means were we poor or anything like that. Grew up in a really good middle class home. However, my parents weren't just giving out money for me to go blow it on stupid shit. However, when I did have money, when I did earn money, I was out slinging it on Madden. All right. Who wants some? Come get some. I'm out here betting cold hard cash. I lie to you not. I'm not proud of this. I once played Madden for money in a trap house. So oblivious to where the hell I was in my surroundings, I just got in the car with my buddy. We drove to a random location. I didn't even seem to notice that, damn, this looks like a shady ass establishment. There's no furniture inside. There's nothing in here. Nothing that would suggest that someone actually lives here. Just a TV and a couple of chairs. But I still took my dumb ass inside, sat down, and proceeded to kick some ass, win some money. How did I know I wasn't going to be robbed at gunpoint for my money? I wasn't even thinking. I was just blinded by the Madden. Anyway, I digress. I was that guy back in the day on the sticks. I'm not that guy anymore. Too much time. So let me just tell you something. I'm too competitive. I've told you guys this before. I'm ultra competitive. So I can't play games because and that's why I only play Super Smash Brothers now. Because if I'm going to play a game, I can't take losing. So all I'm going to do is devote any free time, and probably some time that I don't have that's free, to trying to get nice so I can win. I become obsessed because I want to win. A wise man once told me, you've got to hate losing more than you love winning. I'm one of those people. I love winning, but I hate losing more. So I'll take time, I'll take away sleep hours, I'll take away work hours to game head it up because I need to win. And I don't have time to do that in my adult life. I could do all of that when I was a kid, and all I had to do was go to school and play sports. I don't have that kind of time to waste now. I got kids with an S, I got a family, I got a business to run. I don't have time to do that shit. So, you probably won't catch me on, if you want to play Super Smash Brothers, I can bust your ass in that. But, I don't have time to play Madden or any of the sports games that I used to play growing up. Street Fighter, all that shit I used to play as a kid. I don't play any of those anymore. So, thank you for the super chat, John Livingston. Captain Spartan says, so we know what your hardest loss as a basketball fan. Well, now what's your hardest loss as a football and baseball fan? For me, 2011 playoffs loss to the Broncos and 2017 loss to the Jags. As a football fan, the hardest loss for me to stomach was probably, as a Washington fan, the hardest loss for me to stomach was 99 playoffs against Tampa Bay. We were up 13-0. At halftime, Brian Mitchell returned a kickoff to start the second half for a touchdown. We were seemingly in control of that game. I thought defensively that year, because Brad Johnson started to have neck injuries, issues late in that season, or else the offense, he threw for 4,000 yards, first Washington quarterback in history to throw for over 4,000 yards that year. Stephen Davis rushed for over 1,400 yards. We had 2,000-yard receivers and Albert Connell and Michael Westbrook. That team was legit. And we got to the playoffs, and we destroyed Detroit in the wild card game at home, and then we had Tampa Bay dead to rights with a chance to go play the greatest show on turf the following week. Don't know if we would have beat them or not. I would have loved to have had an opportunity to do so. And Dan Turk skipped one back to his brother, who was the holder, Matt Turk, and our kicker never got an opportunity to kick the game-winning field goal. That shit stung, man, because I thought we were the better team. Tampa Bay was not better than us that year. They were not. Their defense was really good, and they stifled, smothered, suffocated even that greatest show on turf offense the next week, but they still lost. But it was a hell of a game. That one stung. So 99, Tampa Bay lost, playoffs. Close second in NFL is the second round loss in 05 to Seattle. Just because that defense, that was a championship caliber defense that we had that year with Sean Taylor and Marcus Washington and Carlos Rogers and all of those guys. We were so good defensively. You know, Cornelius Griffin, and man, that was a good football team defensively. We stunk on offense though. All we had was Chris Cooley, Santana Moss, and Clint Portis. That's all we had on offense. But man, Brunell couldn't throw it yet. You know, I think he had an injury that year too. It was brutal to watch, but the defense was so good. We knocked LeVar Arrington knocked Sean Alexander out of that game, and we still couldn't win. That was tough to stomach. But anyway, in baseball, for me, it's the Game 7 against the Twins in 1991. That's the one that stuck out the most to me. John Smoltz pitched the game of his life, and we still lose a 1-0 game, essentially. I'll never forgive Lonnie Smith for falling for the old, pass ball trick at first base and getting tagged out. Like, come on, bro. Seriously? There's some games against the Yankees in that World Series that hurt. Really felt like we should have beat them in the World Series in '96. But, yeah. The Twins Game 7 loss, the Kirby Puckett and that crew, that's the baseball one for me. Let's see. Mike Lowry says, just watched your card upload. Man, saw that jaw and yelled so loud he killed the mic. Yeah. Look, man. I lost my mind for about a good 30-second period where I was delirious. I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest, honestly. I lost my damn mind, like you said. I yelled so loud that I'm pretty sure the neighbors heard me. It was amazing, though. I wouldn't trade that reaction for the world. I just wish you could have heard it. You probably would have had to pull, if you had headphones on or you were listening to it on a device with a loudspeaker, you probably would have had to turn it down because I would have destroyed your eardrums. I was so loud. But anyway, I digress. Kevin the PRF says, told his Vancouver story. He never tells his Vancouver story, so please hit the like button for LT's poor Grizzlies who will never have a super team. We'll never have a super team, but we're getting close to having a good enough team to compete. When you have a potential megastar like Ja Morant, it gives you a chance. So I got a chance. what I do need is for Triple J to stay healthy and get back to what he was pre-bubble in 2019. If I can get him back to that point, or 2019, 2020, right before the bubble, if I can get him back to that point, I got something. With Dylan Brooks emerging and all the shooters and Grayson Allen and Desmond Bane that we've surrounded Ja with, and some really good role players, like DeAnthony Milton and guys like that. Jonas Valanciunas. We need another big. That I need Brandon Clark to step up. The coach lost confidence in him this year. I need him to step back up. But yeah, hit the like button for me, please. I really do appreciate that. Got a super chat here from John Livingston. Thank you for the super chat, John Livingston. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, JL Smooth. Greatly appreciate you as always. Who writes, Madden sucks now anyways. You ain't missing nothing. Hey, have you any opinion on destroying the YouTuber? I can't say I haven't heard of him. I've never actually watched any of that content though. So I think I've seen the name in passing. In my opinion, he said he deserves a shot, but teams may see the YouTube thing as a distraction, which is sad. Oh, is that the kicker? I think that's the kicker, right? Think that's the kicker you're talking about. Yeah, I actually have seen him. He's amazing, but like you said, I think they see the YouTube thing as a distraction. I think they don't think he's going to focus. And one thing teams don't want are guys who don't love ball. And I'm not saying he doesn't, but you know how people are. You know how these evaluators and GMs and coaches are. They think if you love something else, you can't love ball. Obviously you love God and you love your religion, you love your family, all that stuff. But if something else is next in the pecking order before football, oh, he doesn't love football. Why can't I love more than one thing? But you know how it is, man. So anyway, thank you for that super chat, JL Smooth. Asan Moore says, what's up? What record do you see Washington having next season? I'm excited to see what our offense will look like and what it will be with this elite defense. I'm going to say 11-6. I won't give my prediction out yet. I won't give my prediction out right now. I told you I would do that closer towards the season. Captain Spartan says, why don't the MLB and NBA catch up with the NFL and now NHL do 32 teams? 32 is such a perfect number because you can narrow it to a truly go down to one. 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, then 1. 32 is just a perfect number because you can separate the divisions evenly as well. When you have 30, it's a weird number. Unless you're going to have 10 3-team divisions or 3 10-team divisions, it's just weird. 32 is perfect because you can have 8 evenly distributed divisions of 4, and you can have 4 in each conference. 32 is just, to me, the magic number. Kevin the PRF says, I'm older than you, but just as competitive. One semester in college, I won $300 on Super Tecmo Bowl and double dribble. Hey, that man said Super Tecmo Bowl and double dribble. The only basketball game I ever played that was worse than double dribble was those stupid Bulls versus Blazers and Lakers versus Celtics games. And when they would say, when the shot clock would get down to like 2, and they would shoot it, and they would dribble, boof, 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 foul. Those games were so terrible, but double dribble was worse. But I'm glad you was out there cleaning up clowns back in your day and eating them up for their bread. That's so awesome. You sound just like me. Rich says, I'm tough at Madden and 2K, and since MLB is now on Xbox, I guess you can say I'm the modern day younger you. Probably so, because I played all of those games back in the day. Baseball, basketball, football, all of that good stuff. All right, so that was fun. I told you we just winging it today. Really appreciate y'all filling up the social media maneuvers segment. Now we go to our final segment of the day and garbage time. So I wanted to just run down the rumor mill real quick to wrap up this show on garbage time. So Justin Fields was ultra impressive apparently at Bears OTAs. So much so that people are talking about him potentially being able to beat out Andy Dalton for the starting gig. Now, it's early. There's still a ton of ball to be played between now and week 1. There's training camp. There are preseason games. He signed his rookie deal today, did Justin Fields, so he officially became a member of the Chicago Bears organization. It's only a matter of time before he takes over in the starting role. The question is not a matter of if he's going to take over, but when. The question that I've posed to you already on this podcast is, could he potentially be a week 1 guy? I still contend that they're going to go with Dalton to start the season off. But again, I've said this already. Most teams want to get the party started early, sooner rather than later with their young quarterbacks. And if you can get a guy out there, if he proves to you that he's ready right out of the gates, why are you going to waste time with Andy Dalton? So I still think my money is still on Andy Dalton starting week 1 for the Bears and starting no less than 3 games before they decide to pull the trigger on him if he is not getting it done with the Bears. So I still think Andy Dalton's your week 1 starter for the Chicago Bears, but apparently, according to reports, Justin Fields, ultra impressive at Bears OTAs. Speaking of ultra impressive at OTAs, apparently wide receiver, 2nd round selection of the Jets, Elijah Moore, is the talk of Jets training camp, or OTAs, excuse me, and quote unquote, most impressive player at Jets OTAs. I'd be lying to you if I said I was surprised. What did I tell you guys about Elijah Moore? I said, after the big 3 receivers in this draft of the 2 Bama boys and Jamar Chase, after those 3 guys, don't talk to me about Rashad Bateman or Kadarius Toney or none of these dudes. They're all bums compared to Elijah Moore. I use the term and phrase bums loosely, okay? Don't take that to heart. Those are really quality football players, potentially. But none of those guys were Elijah Moore. I said if Washington was going to take a receiver, I wanted it to be Elijah Moore. The guy is spectacular, and anybody that watched enough tape would fall in love with him because he's so dynamic and he has everything you're looking for. And so am I surprised that he went and lit up Jets OTAs? No, not at all. Not surprised one bit. I'm surprised that people are surprised that he was the most impressive at Jets OTAs. Apparently, Washington football team now has a open quarterback competition. Oh, really? We'll see about that. A lot of people running with, the quote from Ron Rivera that it's a competition and we'll see what happens. Ron said in the offseason before Ryan Fitzpatrick was signed that he made a mistake last year in pretty much crowning Dwayne Haskins the starter and not really having an open competition. He made a mistake. He doesn't want to make the same mistake this year. So he's going to toe the competition line this year, but make no mistake about it. I really don't know if there's a true competition to be had or not. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be given every opportunity to be the guy. Now, if he can't seize control of the position, and it is clear because one thing you cannot do, and I was told this by a very wise man, you can't fool the locker room. If they're going out there to practice in training camp and in the preseason every day, and Taylor Heineke is the best man for the job, you can't hide that, and you can't trick and fool the other 52 guys on the roster. They know. So if Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't come correct during training camp, I could see a situation where Taylor Heineke is the starter. However, right now, I think it's Ryan Fitzpatrick's job to lose, and I think he's ultimately going to be the week 1 starter for Washington. But this is a story to be continued. And finally, a few free agents even that are out there. Man, a little bit more than a few. Because a couple is 2, a few is 3. There are 4 guys in particular I want to talk about. So, Todd Gurley. Don't you call him Gurley. He's in all true man, yeah, baby. He's still out there. Looks like he's going to sign in Detroit more likely than not. But he had a visit with Baltimore recently. I still don't know what the Ravens are doing at running back. They just re-signed Gus the Bus Edwards. I'm like, you got stuff. Like, are you going to just sign him so you can do to him what you did to, what was the Alabama running back's name that they pretty much told to go home at the end of the season? Your services are no longer needed. That's the name of the damn, that played in New Orleans for all those years. Shit, I can't think of his damn name right now, but they pretty much told him at the end of the season, hey, go home, man. We got two backs that we think are going to be able to do the rest of the work. So you just go home. Why would they want Todd Gurley? I don't understand. Let him go to Detroit. They're not playing for anything meaningful there. They love him in Detroit because the guy that helped draft him is the GM there, and Brad Holmes. Let him go to Detroit. Mark Ingram. Thank you, Captain Spartan. Mark Ingram. They told him to go home last year. So I don't think Gurley needs to go to Baltimore. He's probably trying to go to Baltimore before Detroit because he's like, hey, who's closer to a Super Bowl? We know the answer to that. But when you're a veteran running back and you're getting up there in age, you probably just need to go where the money is. Where the money resides. How about Quan Alexander? I've had multiple Washington fans say, hey, we need depth at linebacker. We should sign Quan Alexander. And I'm like, nah. 2018, torn ACL. 2019, torn pectoral. 2020, torn Achilles. I'm good. But they're like, hey, but he'll be ready for camp. Will he be ready for camp? Really? Man tore his Achilles in like week 16. Is he really going to be ready for training camp? I don't know about that. Even if he is, I'm good, man. I'm so good. He's only 27, which I thought he was much older than that. He's only 27. I'll let somebody else kick those tires. I'm good. These last two are the ones that are baffling to me. So, Duke Johnson is 28 years old. Still relatively young for a running back. Once you hit 30, that's when everybody starts giving you the side eye. But he's 28 and he's never been a bell cow. So I'm looking at Duke and I'm saying, why hasn't Duke gotten any work yet? I still believe Duke Johnson can be a very formidable pass-catching third down option for some running back needy team. Now I get it. Bunch of young boys that come out into the draft every year. You can find a guy that looks like Duke Johnson, smells like Duke Johnson, even plays like Duke Johnson, but they ain't Duke Johnson. I surmise someone's going to give Duke a call if he stays in shape, but I'm surprised he doesn't already have work, already have employment. It's not like he's 31. He's 28. I don't know. He's had some injury concerns too. Guy that's usually banged up, but I still would love to kick those tires if I'm a team that needs a running back. To catch it out of the backfield. But this is the one. This is the one that takes the cake for me. All right. Malik Hooker. He's 25. I don't understand how no one has kicked the tires on Malik Hooker yet. I was all but certain he was going to Dallas when he showed up to Big D for a meeting. I said, oh, shit, they're going to sign him. They did. Then he had another meeting with another team, and I don't remember the team, and they didn't sign him either. I'm like, what is going on? Somebody please tell me, what is going on here? As a wise kid once said to me, what is going on here? And nobody's been able to explain to me why Malik Hooker at 25 years old, with the talent that he once had, and he probably still does, and there is an injury history, I am very aware. Much like Quan Alexander, I'm very aware of his injury history. Hasn't played a full 16-game slate to this point of his career yet. I'm aware. But he's 25. He's a former top 5 draft pick. It's not going to cost you a lot to bring him to camp and kick the tires. I'm shocked. I'm utterly shocked, amazed, and befuddled that nobody thought enough of Malik Hooker to this point. Not to say that he won't get a camp invite at some point, but I'm shocked that nobody thought enough of Malik Hooker's talent. And he's had ball production in this league in his limited experience to bring him in and say, you know what? We'll sign you to a 1-year, $1.5 million prove-it deal. And all of it will essentially be tied to incentives that he's got to play X amount of games. And if he doesn't make your team and you cut him by the time you get to the end of training camp offseason and he's not on your roster week 1, you don't really have to pay him much other than, the bonus and the money he earned by practicing heading into the season. So I'm floored that he hasn't gotten a shot, but maybe that speaks to where he is from a physical standpoint. Maybe teams said, all right, first thing we want to do before we even get to the particulars is let's just have a little physical here. See what you look like. And the physical comes back and they're like, hey man, we're good. Sorry about wasting your time. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I was on board for Malik Hooker in Washington. That was one of the guys. Him and John Ross were the two guys as former top 10 draft picks in this league. I think they were in that same 2017 NFL draft, if I'm not mistaken, that didn't work out for their respective teams in the top 10 of that draft. And I said, I wouldn't mind having both of those guys, kicking the tire on both of those guys on 1-year prove-it deals. The Giants took John Ross immediately in free agency, and Malik Hooker is still out here just blowing in the wind. I am shocked. But we'll see. Maybe there's a reasoning behind that. In any event, that is going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 169th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I can't stress this enough. I'm staring at the likes number right now, and it's bothering me. We got less than 30 likes. There are over 60 of you. And there's not a lot of y'all out there. I understand. It's Friday. You got better shit to do than sit here and shoot the shit with your man Louie T. I'm fully aware of that. I'm not bothered by that. But there are 60 of you out there. How come we don't have at least 35 to 40 likes? I'm baffled. Come on, guys. Why do I have to beg all the time when you know the routine? It should be second nature. You show up, hit the like button. Anyway, I digress. I thank you guys for joining me on this Friday, kicking it with me on this Friday. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this thoroughly. And every now and again, we'll do this. Not often. Usually I'm more structured than this, but today was one of those days where I was just like, I'm not feeling it. And I want to do the pod. So this isn't one of those times where I'm like, I don't want to do the pod. I felt like doing the pod. Just didn't feel like coming up with a actual detailed outline of what I should talk about. And you guys filled in the rest. You filled in the gaps. And that's why I love y'all. That's why I rock with y'all. That's why y'all are my guys and gals. Because y'all hold me down. In any event, I'm going to glide to the side, allow you guys to get to your weekend, because I'm going to go ahead and get mine started right now. I'm going to go pick up my adult beverages, and I'm going to have me some pizza, and I'm going to enjoy some Netflix. So without any further delay, thank you guys for joining me. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. Really appreciate y'all for coming and chopping it up with me for the 169th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Until next time, I'm your man, Louie T. Have a great weekend.
LouieTeeNetwork.